Good evening everyone and welcome to Gundam News. And as always, a new month means a new Gunpla schedule. Unfortunately, this month we're only getting a single Gunpla, or well, I guess I should say, only a single retail Gunpla release. On July 11th, you'll be able to get the high-grade Goof-ignited Hino Western Flus Custom. Going for 2,860 yen, 18 US, this Not Zaku comes with a transformable beam sword that doesn't need to exchange parts, beam sword effect parts, a shield that can store the beam sword, various hand options, including one to replicate the famous beam Gatling fire pose, and 2 Slayer whips, a bent one and a straight one. Other features then include fantastic articulation thanks to the Gundam Seed action system, and a backpack using a 3mm connector for easy compatibility with other Gunpla. Unfortunately, we haven't yet gotten any new promotional art that we can gawk at. And staying with the Gunpla, Bandai announced the high-grade Hydra Gundam, and it sure is an amazing looking kit. First and foremost, it just looks fantastic in these promotional images. It is the perfect bad guy Gundam. Like, it was already an amazing looking Gundam, but they really went above and beyond here. And things only get better with the accessories and gimmicks. For handheld weapons, we get the Buster Cannon, 2 beam sabers that can be connected to form a double beam saber, 2 orange beam saber blade effect parts, and the EMF shield that now comes with a brand new model kit exclusive sliding gimmick. The other accessories then are 2 open hands, an action base number 7, which is very handy for displaying it in its transformed mode, 2 smaller bases, which are used for having its sub-arms flying around, 2 lead wires for those sub-arms, and 2 orange beam effects for those sub-arms. And these beam effects are slightly smaller than the ones used for the beam sabers. For the transformation gimmick then, it looks like the Hydra Gundam will be a complete transformer, and by turning the head, you will get 3 different faces. A regular Gundam face on the front, a kinda Zaku-esque face on the side, and a Zeong-esque face on the back. There's just one thing that's a bit less great about this high grade. It comes with a master grade class price, 5,500 yen. The direct conversion here is 34 US, but expect this to be much more expensive outside of Japan. It is currently slated for a November release, and the only remaining question then is, are we gonna get more G-Unit Gunpla? Cause the Hydra Gundam was like the last major release we needed, but we still have some minor releases that we could get, like a few more variants of the Leo maybe. Gunpla related then, Bandai announced that in Japan, entries are being accepted for Builders Arena, a Gunpla competition where you don't just compete as a single builder, but as a team of 3 builders, each serving a specific role. The founder takes care of the basics, like coming up with the basic idea for which kit you want to make, which parts to use, which pose to put them in, and then building the actual basics of the Gunpla. This basic build is then further refined by the customizer. Their role is to modify the Gunpla into something special and to also apply a custom paint job. And then finally, the finisher is responsible for creating a diorama with this Gunpla. If you want to see how this plays out, they've made a promotional video showcasing 2 teams duking it out in the Gunpla arena. Or well, the Builders Arena. It is all in Japanese, but it is a very interesting watch nonetheless, and I'll of course have it linked down below. Another piece of Gunpla related news then is that tomorrow the first permanent UK Gundam base will be opening up. It is located in Camden Market in London and promises to have all kinds of limited edition Gunpla base limited merchandise. And those spending over £50 will get a UK Gundam base pin badge. For the figures then, the first and newest announcement was the Robot Spirits Zeta Gundam version anime. It will be a retail release and can be yours in December for 11,000 yen, 68 US, with pre-orders already having opened up on July the 1st. in Japan. As is to be expected from the version anime, the proportions are quite retro and anime accurate, which they show off by replicating poses from the anime and also from retro artwork found on the Zeta's old Gunpla. As for the accessories, we've got the beam rifle, shooting effect part for the beam rifle, a shield, 2 beam sabers, 2 regular beam saber blade effect parts, 1 slashing beam saber blade effect part, 2 grenade packs, a bunch of hand options, landing gear, and a set of transformation parts. Cause here's the thing, to make sure that the Zeta Gundam was a sturdy action figure, and I guess to also ensure that it was as anime accurate as possible, they made the decision to make it a parts former. Other gimmicks then are that the beam saber holders can open up, allowing the beam sabers to act as beam guns in Wave Rider mode, and the hatch on the forearms can be opened up, revealing the grenades inside. And if you don't want your Zeta Gundam to be lonely, the Gundam Mark II AUG version, also version anime, is getting a restock in November, going for 9,350 yen, 58 US. The next announcement then was for figures that were already announced a while back, but now we have all of their details. GMG Collection 16, Amuro Ray Uniform version, GMG Collection 17, Sayla Mass Uniform version, and the Premium Bandai Limited GMG Collection EX Wide Base Bridge Operator Desk, all of which are slated for a late December release. Amuro goes for 3,850 yen, 24 US, and his accessories include various hand options, a pistol, his backpack, and his childhood wooden doll. Sayla then also goes for 3,850 yen, 24 US, and her accessories are various hand options, a pistol, and a head with her headset on. The wide base set then comes with everything that the retail Amuro and Sayla come with, plus some cool extras. Amuro comes with a shouting head, allowing you to recreate that famous scene from the anime where he's shooting at a Zeon soldier, and we're of course getting the operator desk. It consists of a massive controller panel computer desk thing and a chair. And all of this will set you back 9,350 yen, 58 US. Not a bad price considering the price of the individual figures. And the final figure announcement was for a restock of the Gundam Girls Generation for Murasame. She'll be reappearing, again as a standard release, in late December for 19,800 yen, 122 US. For something completely different then, you might have seen some rumblings about a potential anime for Gundam 8. And here's the thing, Gundam Ace is celebrating their 25th anniversary, and they decided to do so in style. So yes, Gundam 8 is getting an animated something, but it is described as a Tokubetsu Special PV. And this promotional video will be directed by Tomoki Kyoda, famous for directing Eureka 7, and produced by Raging Bull, a very new animation studio that has done some work for Fire Force, Concole Season 2, and Pokemon Horizons. And that's all that we know so far, so it's not gonna be a full anime by a long shot, but I am at least hoping that it's gonna be something like those Gundam Seed Astray MSV videos. They might only be 5 minutes long, but they are very cool, self-contained stories. They make sense even if you didn't read the manga, and they do still leave you wanting for more. So they're great in their own right, and they do still do a great job at promoting the manga. And this promotional video wasn't the only thing that Gundam Ace announced for their 25th anniversary. There's also 5 new manga that are now being serialized. The first one is Shien wa Minovsky Ryushi o Ukenai, roughly translating to The Purple Haze is unaffected by Minovsky particles. The manga looks to be set during the One-Year War and is drawn by Kozo Omori, famous for the Gundam 00, Gundam UC Bande Dessinée, and Gundam Narrative mangas. The second one is Double Fake Reprise, and based on the name and the first chapter, it seems to be an updated retelling of the original Double Fake under the Gundam manga. and it is made by Kenji Yamamoto, best known for Chaotic Rune ES, and not to be confused with Kenji Yamamoto, the composer, Rui Takato, famous for Devilman Grimoire and Booty Royale, and Ukyo Kodachi, known for working on the Boruto manga, but he also did the Macross Frontier and Queen's Blade Rebellion novels. The third manga is Gundam Extreme vs. Girls on Extreme. So rather than being about real Gundams, this manga will focus on Gundam as an esport. Outside of Japan, Gundam Extreme vs. is rather niche, but inside of Japan, it is a very big deal with its own esports tournaments. And this manga will be made by Yoshio Mokomokamaru Masao, famous for Gaming Ojo-sama and Street Fighter Luke Rising. The fourth manga is the SD Gundam G Generation Eternal 4-panel manga that we already talked about last week. As was to be expected, it features characters playing the game, and is made by Kazuya Tani, known for another Gundam 4-panel manga, as well as Rawl's Immoral Meals. The fifth and final new manga then is Kido Senshi Gundam Shido Onayami Kaiketsu Shinto Impulse, loosely translating to Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Problem Solvers Shin and Impulse, or maybe it's Impulse, because the Im is written smaller than Pulse, so maybe the Impulse is going to be nicknamed like Pulse in the manga or something. But anyways, this manga is set in a very different cosmic era. Rather than people trying to genocide each other, the world is at total peace, and people and mobile suits are living in harmony with each other. And if I'm understanding this correctly, in this peaceful world, Shin and the Impulse run a kind of problem-solving service where they take care of any kind of problem that a client might have. This manga is made by Imaso Gari, famous for posting short comics online. And that still wasn't everything included in this 25th anniversary issue of Gundam Ace. The logo got an overhaul, various congratulatory messages were posted, including one from Kunio Okawara and Haruhiko École du Ciel will definitely continue Mikimoto, and 2 promotional cards are also included. For Arsenal Base, there's a Crossbone Gundam X1 full cloth card, and for the Gundam card game, there's a Garrett and Gundam X resource card. And let's also immediately wrap up the rest of the reading material while we're at it. There was SD Gundam Historia, SD Gundam Sangokuden, and SD Gundam World Edition, telling you all about the worlds of SD Gundam Sangokuden and SD Gundam World Heroes, the Double Zeta Gundam Grand Dissection, telling you all about Double Zeta Gundam, the 28th issue of Hobby Japan Mechanics, featuring a lot of Gundam Thunderbolt models, of course commemorating the end of the manga, and then there were also 3 new tankobon releases. There was the 2nd volume of Gundam 8, the 3rd volume of Gundam Crossbone Zeroiba, and the 16th volume of Moon Gundam. And then there was also some more random merchandise announced this week. Like for example, from the Granup shop, you can get the Gundam Meisters as acrylic pen stands, acrylic keychains, scene acrylic keychains, pair can badges, scene pair can badges also featuring Graham, scene can badges also featuring Graham, Patrick, and ribbons, A4 clear files, dormitory style keychains, scene dormitory style keychains, keychains featuring the Meisters with their Gundams, scene stickers, and carapax, all slated for a late September release. Already becoming available on July 17th then is the Sunrise World Deformed Robot Fair Volume 2. This event will be held at 6 Sunrise World stores across Japan and includes merchandise featuring SD versions of mechs from Zeta Gundam, Dunbine, Zega Pain, Elgheim, Brave X Kaiser, and Code Geass. There's holographic can badges, holographic stickers, an acrylic plate featuring the main promotional image, t-shirts, acrylic dioramas, and even autographed artwork. But the autographed artwork will only be sold at the Sunrise World Tokyo on July 19th. Also, I do want to point out that on Gundam Official, there is a mistake in the article about this event. in their list of participating series, they don't have Zegapane listed, but Votoms. There is no Votoms in Volume 2 of this event. Votoms was in Volume 1 of the event. Meanwhile, on the gaming front then, in Gundam Battle Operation 2, the Susanoo has joined the fray on both PlayStation and Steam, and in SD Gundam G Generation Eternal, players are once again gifted 3,000 diamonds because the game has once again reached number 1 on certain storefronts. And there were an additional 1,000 diamonds to celebrate the fact that there are now 100 series and over 1,000 units in the game. And all this free stuff was of course thanks to the F91 main stages being added, which also allows you to gacha for units like the UR Gundam F91 Twin VSBR Type EX version with UR Seabook Arno, the UR Gundam F90 ADS Type EX version with UR Dev Stallion, and the UR Karodzo Rona and Zamuth Gar Supporter. In addition to this, new stages and event missions were added to the Eternal Road, there's panel missions for a SSR F80 gun raid, and a fierce enemy assault featuring the SSR Gundam F90 Mars Independent Xeon version. In other news then, the special Gundam X anniversary stage held at the Chayamachi Oshi Festival is currently available on YouTube, and so is the second episode of their special anniversary program podcast thingy, both of which are linked down below. As for the things you could get this week then, we started with a very busy and also a very expensive day on the 27th. Going from cheap to expensive, you could first grab the latest Gundam card game stuff, which was in collaboration with the SD Gundam G Generation Eternal smartphone game. So all of the cards here feature super deformed mobile suits, as well as original characters and machines from the various G Generation games. There was the Generation Pulse starter deck going for 1,650 yen, 10 US, and the Eternal Nexus booster pack going for 242 yen a pack, $1.50. And what makes this set so special is that it features special cards designed for multiplayer games, like the 2 vs 2 mode or the 4-player, or like up to 4-player Battle Royale mode. Next up, for 4,400 yen a pop, 27 US, we have 2 new Gundam Universe releases and 1 re-release. The Mighty Strike Freedom Gundam and the Sinanju are brand new, and because the Sinanju is getting released, they re-released the Unicorn Revival version. All 3 of these make use of the new Universal Reaction Frame, giving them much better articulation than past Gundam Universe figures, and they also come with a lot more accessories. For the Sinanju, this is a shield, beam rifle, and 2 active beam axes. For the Mighty Strike Freedom, it's an open disruptor, 2 beam sabers with beam saber blade effect parts, the Futsunomitami Katana, and a removable Proud Defender. And for the Unicorn Gundam, we're getting a shield, bazooka, and Benager's beloved beam magnum. Another big improvement then for these figures are the proportions. They are now much sharper and way cooler. Just like compare the new Mighty Strike Freedom to the older Freedom Gundam Type 2, and keep in mind that except for the backpack, these mobile suits should be the same. But the difference really is night and day. And finally on the 27th, we are getting another re-release, the Metal Build Strike Freedom Gundam Revival version, going for 38,500 yen, 237 US. According to the description, this should be almost the same figure as the 2015 release, with the only differences being the box and extra support arms for holding up the accessories. As for those accessories then, these still include 8 Dragoons, 2 beam rifles that can be combined, 2 beam sabers that can also be combined, 2 beam saber blade effect parts, 2 beam shield effect parts, and a special action base that can also hold up the 8 Dragoons. Next up on the 29th, the 12th lineup of Mobility Joint Gundam has become available in candy aisles across Japan. For 715 yen each, $4.50, you can get the Barbato's first form, optional parts to transform him into his 3rd form or 4th form, the Gundam NT1 with beam rifle, optional parts with the Chobham armor, arm-mounted Gatling guns, shield, beam saber, and broken antenna, the Kemper with shotgun, optional parts with another shotgun, 2 bazookas, 2 Sturmfausts and a chain mine, the Gym Sniper 2 with bullpup machine gun, and an optional part set with its standard issue sniper rifle, beam sniper rifle, hand parts to hold the sniper rifles, a shield, a beam saber, and a Dragon E. And on the same day, you could gacha for the Gundam Base Limited Gundam Series Rubber Coaster 2. For 400 yen a spin, $2.50, you were able to get a rubber coaster with a design featuring either Char's helmet, the Elmeth, the Zai Gundam, the Penelope, the Goov, the Dom, the Double Zeta Gundam, or the Cubile. And finally then, just releasing somewhere in late June, is Cardass Gundam Selection Volume 6, Hathaway's Flash and Char's Counterattack. One pack of 3 cards will cost you 220 yen, a little over $1, and there's a total of 35 cards to collect, featuring brand new and adorable SD artwork from Hathaway's Flash and Char's Counterattack. And I almost forgot to mention that on the 26th, the high-grade Hambrabi G-Quux version was released. And this thing came packing with more features than we were expecting. Like, we got the standard stuff, like a transformation, the Sea Serpent with lead wire, and the Fedayeen rifle. But the Fedayeen rifle can also be used as a scythe, complete with beam effect part. It's really a shame that it never got to use this in the anime. Also, it comes with a bunch of moving mono eyes, so this is definitely quite the model kit indeed, and it could be yours for 2,860 yen, 18 US. On to the apparel news we go, where Strict G kicked things off with these Cersei-themed t-shirts made in collaboration with Nubian. The t-shirts have a vintage finish and feature either the Zai Gundam's head, the full Zai Gundam, the Penelope, the Gustav Karl Type 00, or the Messer Type F01. The price, though, is quite something, 16,500 yen, or 102 US. These shirts became available at both physical Strict G stores and Nubian stores on June the 27th. On the 4th of July then, you can buy these Athranzala inspired sunglasses at physical Strict G stores. They're far from being an exact copy, but they are inspired by the sunglasses worn by Athran in Gundam Seed Destiny and Gundam Seed Freedom. And the color scheme also feels more inspired by the color scheme from the Justice, being purple and brown with smoky lenses. They're a collaboration with Swans, and they'll set you back 22,000 yen, 135 US. Also, as a bonus, you'll get an acrylic stand of Athran wearing these sunglasses. Over at Bankore, meanwhile, they released a bunch of items for the Sorcery of Nymph Cersei featuring the Mafti emblem. Slated for an August release are a bath towel for 4,620 yen, 28 US, a face towel for 2,200 yen, 14 US, a pass case for 1,540 yen, 9 US, a lanyard for 1,320 yen, 8 US, and a PVC case for 1,100 yen, 7 US. And then slated for a November release are a long wallet for 24,200 yen, 149 US, a bifold wallet for 19,800 yen, 122 US, and a pass case, business card case, or ID card case for 13,200 yen, 81 US. And that has been all for this week's Gundam news. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great evening, and I'll see you all next week with more Gundam news.